So, do you know that Mary unplugged her Wi-Fi, turned off her phone to go hang out many other time with us?
It's finally come out. Mary's been exposed for going behind Brandan's back to hang out with her male friends. That despite the fact that she's banned him from talking to other women or even going round to see his own mum or sister. It's incredibly hypocritical, and given all that Brandan's given up to be with Mary, he can't believe what he's hearing.
I'm just like, what the like, if I were to ever do that to her, she would never forgive me.
That's true. Mary would 100% have broken up with him for that. So how's Brandan going to react? Well, before we get to the revelations and Brandan's reaction, before we get to asking for permission and being treated like a little kid, let's quickly catch up on where we left them last week. So, having been daydreaming and fantasizing for months about what their first night together was going to be like, the time had finally come for Brandan and Mary to share a bed. Only it wasn't quite like Brandan imagined. There was no intimacy of any kind. Now, Brandan is still hoping that may just be down to nerves. He hopes that as Mary gets more comfortable with him, she might be willing to bend her grandparents' rules, as she has before. Only what Brandan doesn't realise, what Mary has forgotten to tell him, is she doesn't believe in sex before marriage.
I was very uncomfortable for a couple of reasons. It was head to toe, and we'd always talk about like our first night together, but it was totally, completely different than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you can understand why that's completely different to what Brandan was imagining. Now, when we join them the next morning, Mary's acting a little strange. She tells Brandan she's fine, but alone to the cameras, it's a different story. She reveals that despite their 24/7 video calls, actually seeing Brandan in person isn't as she thought it would be.
It feels so different in person than being on the phone 24/7, and
I don't want to be intimate, and I don't want to hurt his feelings.
You can understand why Brandan's so confused. Mary couldn't keep her hands off him when they first met at the airport, but now, only hours later, that physical chemistry seems to have already fizzled out, and Brandan doesn't understand why. It's understandable why Brandan's questioning whether this is just Mary's adjustment period, or maybe there's a deeper issue at play, like maybe Mary just isn't attracted to him. So, over to you, Mary, balls in your court. How are you going to reassure Brandan that you do want to be with him?
I know that last night is not that he's hoping for, but I just want him to know that I appreciate him.
Now, Mary's way of trying to show Brandan that she appreciates him is both childish and hilarious. She decides to spoon feed him his meal. It's definitely not the most conventional method, and I'm not sure it's working. Just listen to Brandan's awkward laugh. Now, the thing is, Mary actually has an ulterior motive for wanting to hand-feed Brandan, and I can guarantee it is not what you were expecting at all.
You better eat a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I want him to get chubby, because when he's chubby, he's huggable.
Mary, are you a feeder? Is that what's going on here? Are we going to see Brandan on My 600 Life in a few years? Well, with a belly full of food, Brandan's got something on his mind. There's something that's been eating away at him. You see, he doesn't want to start his life with Mary on a lie. So, he wants to come clean to Mary's grandfather about the fact that they've kissed. This actually says a lot about Brandan. He's doing the honourable thing. He's being mature. He doesn't feel comfortable lying, which, as we'll soon see, is drastically different to Mary.
And he seems like the kind of guy that would prefer the hard truth instead of a easy lie. I feel like he'll respect me more because of that.
What's that based on exactly, Brandon? It's not like you know Mary's granddad well. You only met him yesterday, and you couldn't exactly communicate with him properly because of the language barrier. I feel like maybe Brandon should take Mary's lead here. She knows her granddad, and she knows what a big deal this will be.
He just doesn't want to bring shame for the family, and he's always making sure that there's a consequences for breaking the rules. That's what I'm worried about.
So what do Mary and Brandon have in store for their first day together? Some sightseeing perhaps? Maybe Mary's going to take him round town, show him the local area. Or maybe she's going to put him to work immediately.
What do you want to do today?
I will do farming. You and Grandpa.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Day one of his new life in the Philippines, the very first day he gets to be together in person with his long-distance girlfriend, and is going to be spending the day learning how to farm with her granddad. I'm fairly sure that's not what he imagined. But all credit to him, he takes the news well. He understands that this will hopefully help him to build some kind of relationship with Mary's granddad. Maybe even get his respect.
It is important for Brandan to learn the farm because it gives us food, and that's important to my grandpa, and he needs to be man enough to do farming.
Now, from what we know about Brandon's working life back in the States, he's not afraid of physical labour. He's spent a lot of time doing odd jobs. If anything, the fact that there's a way to feed the family might actually come as a relief to Brandon. Remember, Mary doesn't work, and Brandon only has a couple of $100 left of his life savings after paying for the house. So, luckily for Mary and her budding feeder kink, there will hopefully be enough food on the table thanks to the farm.
Careful.
And hopefully I will gain her grandfather's respect and trust that I can really learn the trade and be able to take care of her and our family in the future.
Notice how Brandon says, our family, like he sees Mary's family as his own already, and that's really sweet. The truth is, all too often on this show, we see couples move to another country with no idea what they're going to do for work. I guess there's something to be said for the fact that Brandon knows what's in store for him. He knows what his role is going to be. Now, whether or not he's going to be happy with this new role, especially long term, well, I guess he's going to have a better idea once he finds out what it actually entails.
He's preparing the mud for the rice to be planted.
I wasn't expecting like riding behind a carabao and tilling a rice field.
Okay, maybe he isn't as prepared as we thought, but he takes it in his stride and he is willing to learn. So after a shaky start with losing his rain boots in the mud, Brandan is up and surfing the carabao. I think he's doing a pretty good job considering he's not able to communicate with either the animal or Mary's granddad. But unfortunately, Mary's granddad doesn't agree.
Kon sa akon sa ilang nga mga obra mo. Te pinalangganan tudloan ko siya sa kon ano pamaagi.
You did great, Daddy.
Okay, I understand that their livelihood depends on it, but he needs to cut Brandan some slack here. He's very quick to determine that this work isn't suitable for Brandan after just one attempt. Maybe, as Brandan gets to know him better, their relationship might fall. So what better time for a chat than the present? When the three of them sit down for a conversation, Brandan tells Mary that in order to be a respectful man, he needs to be honest. And immediately it becomes very obvious that Mary's uncomfortable with what's about to happen.
We kissed.
Nag-kiss kami nga dua.
Out of all the ways that he could have broken the news, I don't think this is the best way to have gone about it. Why couldn't Brandan have, for example, explained that he didn't even know the rules when he kissed Mary? Like, maybe give the old man a bit of context so he doesn't feel like he's been purposefully disrespected. Because from the looks of it, that is how he feels right now. As he sits there in silence, processing what he just heard, he looks like he's getting mad.
Prote nainit ko.
I don't want to disrespect your family, so I would like to formally ask for his permission.
Seeing as Mary knows her grandpa, she knows how to pacify him, she knows the language, maybe she should pipe in with more of an explanation. But she doesn't. She sits there in silence. It's starting to feel like Mary has a complicated relationship with her granddad. He seems to rule the home with an iron fist. Mary seems to respect him, but she's also fearful of him, fearful of his anger.
Kung pro masawahay na lang. Antod nga isa kag isa sa inyo magbakod ng inyong pag-inupdanay.
What? There's nothing like a shotgun marriage because of a kiss. Wow. I mean, talk about overreaction. Now, while Brandan has spoken about his intentions to marry Mary, this is still his first full day in the Philippines. He's known Mary in person for less than 24 hours. And hearing how quickly her granddad wants to schedule a date has his head spinning. To be fair to her, Mary also doesn't seem impressed. This is her face the entire exchange.
I love her and I want to marry her and spend the rest of my life with her. But it's like, I only just kissed her, and I have to marry her right away.
It's crazy. I mean, the pair aren't even comfortable in each other's company yet. They haven't even addressed their huge jealousy and control issues. It's way too early to be talking about scheduling a date. But when we join them again a few days later, it seems like the pair are getting closer. Just look at their matching necklaces. We learn that today, Mary is going to take Brandan to the beach to meet her friends.
When Brandan is in America, he doesn't like when I spend time with my guy friends. So I tell Brandan that I will stop hanging out with them until he gets here in the Philippines.
Ah yes, the friends that Brandan didn't like Mary meeting because they were male. The same friends that Mary went to meet anyway, behind his back. Let's not forget that although Brandan's done a good job in the Philippines so far, he has also definitely played a part in this toxic relationship. Mary's friend calls him out on this. Why is he so jealous, he asks. Why has he banned Mary from meeting them?
Pong doesn't like how you not letting me hang out with them.
Does Pong know how you don't let me hang out with friends when I was in America?
That's an interesting response. All this time, we've just assumed that Brandan had his own insane jealousy issues, just like Mary. But based on that response, is he implying that he only made that rule because Mary enforced hers? Tit for tat. In fact, Brandan reveals that Mary's jealousy issues were actually worse than we realised. It wasn't just females that she banned him from being friends with. He wasn't allowed to make male friends either, because Mary was worried they might have girlfriends. So tell us, Mary, why then, based on these strict rules that you have for Brandan, are the rules for you so different?
Well, I met them before I met you. And the people you met, you just met them.
Well, to me, that doesn't make a difference.
So based on that then, what's her problem with him hanging out with his own mum and sister? It's clear that Mary's just making up the rules as she goes along, just to suit her. The thing is, even if Brandan wants to fight back, he doesn't seem to know how. He wants to just focus on winning over Mary's friends. So what else do her friends want to know about him? Well, remarkably, one of the very first questions one of them asks is what date they're getting married. But this question strikes fear in one of the other friends.
Hindi na pag-open up din. So kung makilala na sila.
What are they saying?
Pong's just saying, don't bring it up because I don't like them to get married.
Well, no, Mary, that's not quite accurate, is it? What he actually said was he wants you both to get to know each other first. Maybe that error in translating is a genuine innocent mistake by Mary. But that's the sort of error that's going to make Brandan feel like her friends aren't on their side. That's the sort of thing that's only going to feed his insecurity.
Well, we're taking our time getting married. There's a lot of being jealous and insecure but we do know each other very well, and we don't hide secrets.
Now, Brandan confirms that they're going to take their time to sort out both of their issues before they commit to getting married. I just wonder if they've told Mary's granddad that, because he's expecting something else entirely. But that still isn't enough for Mary's friends. They decide that they really want to test this relationship by revealing something they suspect will make Brandan angry and upset.
Do you know that Mary unplugged her Wi-Fi, turned off her phone to go hang out many other times with us?
I'm definitely not on Mary's side here, but why is her friend throwing her under the bus like that? He's supposed to be her friend. Now, perhaps he did so for the greater good. Maybe he's trying to force Mary to be honest. Or maybe he's trying to shake Brandan's confidence. Whatever the truth, it is about time that Mary faced the consequences for her hypocrisy. I just hope that Brandan doesn't let her off too easily.
What?
Did you?
So, yako na.
Yeah.
Mary's what?
What?
Did you?
And her laughter there is actually quite triggering. Maybe it's a nervous laughter. After all, she has just been exposed. But whether or not that's the case, it comes across as though she's laughing it off, as though she doesn't care. This isn't helped by the fact that her friends are also smirking and sniggering. Brandan must feel really alone here. He's in shock.
I'm just like, what the f-? Like, if I were to ever do that to her, she would never forgive me.
Now, given his reaction, Mary realises that this isn't a joking matter. She can see how hurt Brandan really is. So, does she apologise? Well, yes, but only half-heartedly. I'm sorry, she says, before immediately turning it round and making herself the victim.
I'm sorry. I'm with them since I was a kid. I can't just throw them away.
You can't just throw them away, Mary. That's a bit rich, considering you expected Brandan to throw away his relationship with his mum and sister.
You can't come see me because I live in a house with females. You can't spend time with your siblings because she's a female.
Her hypocrisy, the way she's trying to justify herself, the way she's trying to play victim is really bad. But no surprise that she now turns on the waterworks. Mary begins to cry. Now, seeing her crying and also being with her friends makes Brandan's response quite restrained. He tries to reason with her. You had your friends, Mary. All I wanted was to have some friends of my own, he says.
You had friends before me, and I just wanted to have friends in general. I can't just isolate myself forever. Abby.
Not for the first time this episode, I think Brandan has dealt with this really well. He's definitely not without his faults. Oh, believe me, he has faults. But he has shown a mature side to him. He doesn't want Mary to cut off her childhood friends. He just wants her to understand that they both have to play to the same rules. And I think her hypocrisy and her guilt are finally sinking in for Mary. Having Brandan confront her like this has made her realise the reality of her actions. She can now see firsthand just how much she hurt Brandan.
If Brandan have been doing the same thing, I will get mad, especially when he will hang out with girls. That's why I feel so guilty.
I don't quite know why Brandan also felt the need to say I'm sorry there.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
He really is a soft touch. But Mary's friends take this opportunity to continue to put pressure on Brandan. Personally, I find it a bit rich that they're choosing to point the spotlight at Brandan rather than Mary here. But they take it upon themselves to make Brandan commit to being less jealous.
Then you just promise Brandan, then stop jealousing. You just promise.
Thank you, promise.
So will this newfound honesty help to reset this relationship? Is this what they needed in order to be able to move forward in a healthier way? Well, perhaps, but time will tell, and that's exactly what they need. More time. I really hope that Brandan can stand up to Mary's granddad and avoid any pressure to get married fast. Take your time, Brandan.